Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to talk to you about how it feels to be gay inside the Church of Scientology and what it was like for me to be closeted and working on auditing out the gay. And I never really told this story. I did make a video on my channel about how Scientology feels about LGBT individuals, but I never necessarily talked about how it impacted me to be in the closet, but at the same time working on trying to change who I was. And ultimately I got married to the love of my life. I am openly gay and proud of that, so if you don't support that, then leave my channel. I will block any haters on my page, so don't even waste your time. And I have to kind of bring it back to my teenage years to kind of explain things before I go into Scientology, because it's going to kind of make a little bit of sense on why I felt the way I did in terms of being homophobic myself. When I was in about 7th grade, I would say I was getting really seriously bullied for people assuming that I was gay. And it was always seen as something that was wrong with you. It was a sickness. We went to church several times a week as a kid where we were taught marriage was between one man and one woman. And we would pray that. And I always thought of being gay as this little tiny 0.0001% of people that, needed to find the Lord. That's obviously not true, but when you grow up in a very biblical sort of household where my mom would say things like, gay people aren't from around here, they're not from this part of town, 25 minutes north of Boston. And of course, Boston has a ton of gay people, but this is just the mindset of a very closed-minded and weird sort of family. I don't even know the right language to describe it as, but it was just a very repressed childhood for me because I couldn't really be who I was. I was being bullied every single day, people calling me a faggot, calling me a homosexual, saying I want to get fucked up the ass, and just making me feel really bad and questioning like, oh, if I can't be gay, that's what I would think. I can't be gay because if I'm gay, then I'm going to be made fun of. So if I just said I wasn't gay, and to stop, like they were obviously making fun of me because they were saying being gay was a bad thing. So I didn't want to be this bad thing. I wanted to fit in with other kids. As a kid or a teenager, you want other people to like you, and I was going to school with the same 20 people all through, my young years. So I wanted those people to accept me. I didn't feel accepted, not even within my own family. I was the weird vegetarian actor who just wanted to move to LA and be who I really was. So when I was 17 going on 18 in May 2009, I did move to LA to become an actor. And 2 months later I got into the Church of Scientology. But when I came to LA, I wasn't, again, out to anyone because I was having that post-traumatic stress of being bullied all through my kid and teenage years. I thought everyone in the world felt that way, because I didn't know any better. I'd never had really like an upbringing that was like cultured. I was only in the same small town, going to the same school and around the same sort of people, so that's kind of what shaped my viewpoint. And it was really fucked up, and it's really hard for me to talk about because there's a lot of pain, there's a lot of upsets, there's a lot of, in Scientology would call it charge, that's associated to what I went through. And I got into Scientology, and I thought all religions were homophobic and being gay was wrong, and I secretly didn't want to be gay. I didn't want to be different, even though being different is great, and being different is good, not to be just like the norm of everyday sort of people. Like, it's special to be different. I see that now, but then I just wanted to kind of blend in with the world. I didn't want to be having that special thing of being gay. Like, I didn't want that to be me. I didn't see myself in a gay relationship. Like, I didn't believe in marriage for whatever reason. I had parents who were married for 20, 30 years, but again, I was struggling a lot with who I really was. Because even though I wanted to be an actor, and that was a big part of me, what if it didn't work out after a few years? Who really was I as a person outside of like this idea of wanting to be an actor? Because that was kind of me. Like, I only identified myself as an actor. Never really like, I am a son, I am a nice person, I'm a great friend, someone who enjoys XYZ. Like, I only could identify as this one thing. And I was gay, but I was trying so hard just to like consume myself in my work and everything else that I never could confront, and try to always be busy, so I couldn't really confront what it was like to go through the process of coming out, and it was too scary and too hard for me to be able to tackle head on. So in Scientology, as we all know, they're very big into prying into people's relationships, about their sexuality, about masturbation, about anything that has to do involving like sex and relationships and all of that, whether it's a romantic relationship or a family relationship. Scientology loves to try to put themselves in the middle of that. So right away they would be asking me if I had a girlfriend, if I went on any dates or anything. Like in the early stages, before it got really graphic, in the early stages it was trying to find out more about my relationships. And like I had to do when I was a teenager in high school and that sort of thing, I always had to make up stories about that in terms of my relationships. Like, oh yeah, like I just hooked up with this hot girl, and oh yeah, I just went on this date and I took this girl out that I met, on a dating website or something. It was always having to try to make myself appear not to be gay by putting on this straight image. And I'm not the only person that's probably ever done that before they actually came out. And I was doing it also because it would make me feel like I was straight. If I kept telling myself these lies that I felt like women were hot, or going with straight guys to strip clubs, or like any of these sort of things, it was my way of feeling like, yeah, I'm straight. I felt like the more I put myself in what I considered straight circumstances, then I could just magically become straight, and I can just kind of suppress this homosexual desire. But on the other hand, I liked being in LA because I was in West Hollywood and I could secretly meet guys once in a while. I wouldn't do it much because, again, I was trying to work on these feelings and these desires and these unhealthy urges I felt that they were. So once in a while I would consider it like a relapse, and I would go and hook up with a guy or go to some man's house or something like that. I don't know a more, gentle way of putting it for you two, but I would go and meet up with guys, and I would feel so bad about it. I feel like I was this dirty person, and not necessarily for like a sex act or something, but just feeling bad because I was doing something against God. And later on, when I'm in Scientology, feeling like I'm not going to be able to have access to the Scientology bridge. Because again, remember, I read Dianetics very early on in Science of Survival and Handbook for Pre-Clears and all of those books. And you can see in my other video, if you're not familiar with L. Ron Hubbard says about gay people. I'm not going to reiterate all of that here. But L. Ron Hubbard does have a very negative view of homosexuality and gay people. Homosexuality, lesbianism, sexual sadism, etc., and all down the catalog of Ellis and Kraft Ebing is actually quite ill physically. Homosexuality is about 1.1 the tone scale, so is general promiscuity. Hubbard's chart of human evaluation. 0.1 is right here. The top of the scale is up here. Vicious perversions of the truth. Sex criminals, negative ethics, because it's considered a chronic tone when you're gay. You're chronically 1-1. And for me, I knew because I had a registrar in Scientology named Eric Myersfield, and he was an actor. He was at Celebrity Center, and he would say to me, like in the early days of regging, in the sort of vein of this: well, if you were gay, or if you happen to be gay, basically what happens, if you do go through auditing, and if you may be gay, what happens is that you go up the tone scale. So when you receive more auditing, of course you're going to be stripping away these engrams, these negative thoughts, these deep-rooted issues. I'm trying to think of the human, normal, un-Scientology way to put it. But you would be getting rid of these traumatic incidents and different things in your life. So of course you're going to start getting more happy, and you would start handling all these different areas that are very painful and traumatic and even aberrated. You're going to get unaberrated, and you're going to be able to not be gay anymore. Because when you're doing auditing, obviously you're handling all the reasons of why you may be gay, what may have happened to you in your life, in a past life, whatever. And I really trusted Eric when he was my registrar, and I really wanted to believe his statement on that. He's also the one who said about Do you have any investments? No. Do you have any gold bullion? No. Call your grandmother, whatever. He was that registrar, if you guys are wondering from my other videos. He was kind of like an early on registrar before I saw Annie Norlin, who was more doing actual like bridge. She was like a bridge registrar for like higher level services and that sort of thing at Celebrity Center. So in case you guys were wondering who my regs were, that's who they were. If anyone even knows who they are, but I'm just making it a point to throw that out there. So I would be going on course, I'd be receiving some introductory auditing services and things like that, but even reading every single basic book and doing the Congress lectures and all of that sort of stuff, I didn't feel like through the tech I was reading anything to handle being gay. Because they're saying that reading the basic books and going to do congresses and all that sort of things, that's almost like going in session. So you're reading the course materials and you're listening to L. Ron Hubbard lectures, and that's almost like going into session, that you get whatever the figure that they said was, like say 300% more case gain just by reading the basic books and lectures. And again, it's almost like you're getting auditing by L. Ron Hubbard by listening to him deliver these lectures. But I didn't feel any different. I was still having desires about men. So for me, I felt like I was a fuck up. I was a failure because I wasn't getting the benefits of Scientology and it wasn't working for me. But to me, it felt like it was working for everyone else. And why was that? Why was that the case, that I wasn't getting any benefits from auditing? And yes, I'd get benefits in some other personal ways, but I'm talking about in terms of handling my sexuality. Why wasn't it working to cure myself of being gay? Because again, it's not possible. It's who you are. It's the root of you. You're born gay. You don't develop being gay. That's not how it works. And there's other people to back that up other than some kid on YouTube talking to you right now. I was getting very depressed because I was closeted, and I was trying to receive auditing in the Church of Scientology. And yes, I could mention that I might have had a fantasy about a man, whatever, and could take it up in auditing, but I wasn't out to any of the staff members. I wasn't out to any public or anyone, because I felt like if I said, oh yes, I'm gay, then I'm not going to be able to qualify to be in the Sea Org if I wanted to be in the Sea Org at some point in time. I wouldn't be able to be a trained auditor inside the church, because that was what my goals were becoming. Even though at one point it wasn't working, there was another part of me that it was working in other areas, and I wanted to be this devout Scientologist. And it's just very tricky. It's very hard for me to understand and let others into like my mindset at the time, because it was very screwed up. There wasn't really a logical way to explain how I was feeling or why I was feeling this way. So later on, during some rebellious periods inside the Church of Scientology, I guess we can say, I was on the meter being interrogated for hours and hours, day after day, about things such as my sexuality, such as if I'm connected to any suppressive persons, going back just, to pull overts and withholds and that sort of thing. And I was under a lot of interrogation by the Church of Scientology. And it became a very heavy interrogation a lot of the times before being able to start another course, or if I didn't show up for a while. It was always about, did you have sex with someone? Did you smoke marijuana? Did you do this and that? And they always would question things. But there was always a heavy emphasis on, well, are you having feelings for other females? Are you going on other dates? Are you having sex with anyone? Have you masturbated thinking about a girl? And I'd always have to say yes. Because we're going back to, if I said no, then I might not be eligible. That's what I was thinking, to receive these type of services. Or again, I'd be outcasted, because you get so love bombed. That's the thing. You feel so good. You have all these people telling you how great you are, how you're so special, you're so talented, you're going to be a superstar, or like when I had my business, your business is going to take off and we're going to help get you clients. I felt like I belonged. And I didn't know anything else in LA but Scientology. I didn't know anyone else. Everyone that I was affiliated to was a Scientologist. So if I was to have gotten kicked out of Scientology, or not been eligible for services, or treated differently, or anything, I wouldn't have that special place. I wouldn't have that connection. So when I went to Celebrity Center, I felt so theta. I felt like this was a special, earth-shifting place that when I was there, that I was actually handling the true cause of human problems. And we all know that Scientology isn't the place to do that, but I felt really unique at Scientology. When my whole life I was being told that I was a piece of shit, I wasn't going to amount to anything, don't waste your time with XYZ, it's not worth it, you're not good enough, you're not special enough. If I got a B in school, why didn't you get an A? If I got an A minus, why didn't you get an A plus? There was always so much pressure on me, and I was always being compared to so many other people that at Scientology it was like, you can be who you want to be. But then I had this little part of me that, well, not a little part, a big part of me that I couldn't share with them. And I was very depressed. I got very suicidal for a very long time, and I've shared with you guys as well in other videos about my suicidal thoughts and attempts and ideations. And I don't want that to define me now. I don't want any sympathy for that, but it was a really hard struggle for me. And I'm making this video because I want other people to know that if you are gay, it's who you are. You can't pray it out. Whether you're a Mormon, whether you're a Catholic, you're a Jewish person, it doesn't matter. You can't do it in any faith. And don't let anyone make you go to a therapist to deprogram you from being gay or anything like that, because that's who you are. Say fuck you. I give you permission. Even if you're 16 years old, you can tell your parents to fuck off. That was such a much more accepting time than it was even 10 or 15 years ago. And I don't want Scientology to harm you if you are gay, or make you think or program you to think that being gay is wrong or an aberration, or it's an engram, or it's something from a past life, or you're stuck in a past life gender, or anything like that. Don't believe anything that Scientology says regarding that. It's only going to make things more difficult for you later on in life when you're trying to figure out who you are. And I'm still doing that to this day. Even married, even anything like that, it doesn't necessarily mean I have all my ducks in a line. And I've been working on it really hard, because I feel like not having a religious affiliation is hard for me, because I grew up my whole life with some form of a religious upbringing, affiliation, prayer, church, and it's hard not having that sort of structure in your life. In your life. And I guess you can find structure in other ways, but anyways, so I never actually came out when I was in Scientology. And people are so shocked and so surprised about that I spent several years not telling them that, when I'd be on the e-meter and they would ask me different questions about my sexuality and other things. Now, when you're on the e-meter, there's a certain way you can squeeze the cans to manipulate a floating needle, which basically indicates that there's no charge on something, you've had a spiritual release, whatever. So if they asked me a certain question about if I was straight or my sexual orientation, whatever, I can squeeze the cans a certain way to indicate a floating needle, which to them is like the Bible. That is, you take that as the word of God if the needle floats. That's indicating like a scientific response to them. So that would actually show that I don't have any charge on that and they can move on. Now, when I was being bull baited in Scientology with TRs, so many times they would be telling me things about gay people, you suck cock, and like to fuck trannies on a corner of Hollywood Boulevard in an alleyway, and you watch gay porn. I don't remember all the things that people would bull bait me about, but it was always regarding sexuality. And they do it because, like, if you're an auditor and your pre-clear says something to you, they want you just to be like, I got that, thank you. They don't want the auditor to have a reaction. But it would still hurt my feelings because they would be always taunting me that you're gay, you're feminine. They would always be making fun of me. It was almost like their permission during bull baiting to treat me like shit. And think about it, when you're reading over and over again different L. Ron Hubbard references that state that the homosexual is a pervert, that the homosexual is a pervert that needs to be rehabilitated and they should be removed from society, you don't feel quite good about yourself, let's say that. And I eventually came out when I was 21, when I met my now husband online, and we went on a date, and on one of the very first dates he asked me, like, what's your religious affiliation? And I said, you know, I've practiced many faiths. I've studied things such as Buddhism, Catholicism, Scientology, and, you know, Jeff's like, Scientology, that's a cult. And I knew that would be his reaction because, again, he's gay, but again, I'm gay, so I was always trying to be like, oh, it's just, because he's gay and he doesn't know any better about Scientology and what we're doing. Because I was so in denial about who I was. Even though I had urges and things, I would still suppress them so much that I didn't actually feel like I was gay, because I'm not a wog. I'm this very powerful Scientologist now. And I had to make a really hard decision. Do I go to Flag to become an auditor and never reveal anything about my sexuality and continue on in Scientology and join the Sea Organization and live there, and my life wasn't going anywhere else, so why not join the Sea Organization? I was going to do that in a couple weeks from when I met my husband. Or do I try to pursue the relationship a little bit more? And for me, it was more worth a shot to see what would happen with Jeff, because I really started having strong feelings towards him. So I knew deep down that something was wrong in Scientology, and I was having issues with the financial extortion and everything else. But my sexuality was who I was. No matter what they did about money or how they could justify that, you can't hate on me for being gay. I knew that deep down, that it was wrong at that point, because I realized at that point you can't change being gay. You can change if you're in a good mood or not one day. You can maybe feel a little bit more in present time, or not rely on chemicals in Scientology or drugs, or sweat them out in the sauna, whatever you want to believe, but you can't do anything to handle homosexuality or being gay. There's no such thing as that. And once I realized that, I started listening to Jeff a little bit more, and then I was able to move and change my phone number and completely remove myself from the Church of Scientology, because I didn't want anything to do with them when I realized how much hate that was going on inside the organization. And remember, the San Diego org, or Scientology in general, supported Proposition 8, and they didn't want gay people to be able to get married, and they're a very hateful organization towards being gay. I've also had Sea Org recruiters and other people that would spit in my face and call me a faggot and call me gay. But I had that Stockholm syndrome that would make me think that these were like the most ethical beings on the planet. Even though they were doing those sort of things, these were the people that you looked up to in Scientology. So I always thought that I was the issue. It couldn't have been the church. It couldn't have been them. This is a worldwide organization, I'm thinking. This is something that is supposed to be clearing the planet and fixing all of our social and ills and everything in mankind. So even though they were treating me so poorly for being gay, and I'd go home and cry and want to slit my wrists, I didn't, but it was like that sort of pain that, what if I just jumped off the balcony? What if I jumped out the window? What if I threw myself down a flight of stairs? Like anything, because I just felt so bad. Like I felt like I needed to cause harm to myself, because I didn't feel like I was good enough to even be a Scientologist just because I was gay. It was years after years of constant push and pull struggle within myself, and feeling like I couldn't really be who I was. And even though I was in LA, the world of gays, I couldn't hold a guy's hand in public. I had to meet guys online. I couldn't be seen at a gay bar or anything, because I was being followed by Scientology so many times when I wouldn't be at course, and they show up to my house to find out why, and they'd follow me down the street to the grocery store, different places, to try to talk to me in public, because they could approach me in public, but I can't, just latch my door and never answer and just let them stand outside. So, so much stress, so much anxiety, so much unwanted and unneeded stress in my life from these people. And I'm so glad I came to terms with who I am, and I didn't actually hide who I was and join the Sea Org or anything like that, because it would have been so much worse for me. And I'm not claiming I had the worst experience about being gay in Scientology. I just wanted to share my stance, because I come from the closeted perspective of someone who didn't necessarily know what they were getting themselves into at first, but also was from this homophobic upbringing and came into a homophobic organization, and I just really struggled for a really long time. And no one ever told me, family or friends or anything, my whole life, that it was okay if you're gay, or it's okay to treat gay people with respect. There's always something that was laughed about, something that was considered weird or gross or not traditional. And I just wanted to feel normal. But I realized that being normal is very overrated. I'm sorry guys, I'm kind of rambling on a little bit about it, but have any of you guys actually gone through that, whether it's Scientology or your own church, about being gay and actually not really about being gay, or being told to pray away the gay, or was sent to any sort of reform counseling or anything. I'd really love to hear your stories in the comment section down below. If you do like my videos, please give it a thumbs up. Click subscribe down below, and also the little bell icon down below as well, and I'll give you notifications when I do make a new video. I love you guys so much. I love all your support. I love all your messages. It really does help me, especially since lately I've been going through sort of a hard time, and I love to hear from all of you, and it really does make my day. So this is my outlet, this is my therapy, and I love doing my videos. I do have more videos coming your way, so click subscribe to see more, and I will talk to you guys soon. Alright, bye guys.